Welcome back to YaySTEM. It's February. It's hard to believe. We've already had at least 5 solid days of sunshine this month, and it's perked us all up. And today we are going to talk about Yay4Admin. We've been talking about this a lot. The three of us feel very blessed to work in a district where we feel like we are on the same team with our admin. We've reflect about how different when we started 20 plus years ago, the relationship with our admin that we do now. I know that as a beginning teacher, I always felt like when I got called to the office, I was in trouble too. And now I know that I can go to the office or go to my my principals and get any kind of help I need to support me with the student, to support me as a teacher, or to just be my friend. And so we've invited some special guests tonight. And so my special guest is Mr. Brent Schwanekamp. That's picture he and I doing a little selfie in the cafeteria last week. Mr. Schwanekamp is a math teacher by trade, turned assistant principal. He's a curriculum guy, but he's also our go-to. Everybody knows when you need help, you go to Brent, whether it is help with making Canvas slides, like our lovely slideshows and branding us, or he loves when you send him Google Sheets to help break down. Or just when you need help with, I have a student that it's a challenge. And so Brent's here with me today. And Dana, you want to introduce your guest?
In the middle is my lovely principal, Marissa Donovan. She is actually ill at the moment, so she can't join us. But she has been a principal for us in the district for over 14 years and has been an educator almost 33. So it's just a joy to be able to learn from her and to feel like you have someone that is ready to support you. And even though they may question your motive or what you're doing behind why you are trying to do that STEM project or that activity, she's always willing to be that person who says, okay, let's give it a try. Let me double check if I can allow this to happen or not. And then let's move forward, and I'm ready to help you with it. So it's been a joy to work with her. So, and then I got to work with Colleen Perry too. So, and Krista got to invite her to be on today.
Yes, we're so lucky. So Colleen Perry is the principal at Guilford Elementary here in Plainfield. She has been in education for 24 years, 15 as an administrator. So lucky to call her colleague and friend. And we're so lucky. Everyone that's on this call today, I know we could each pick up the phone and call anyone and have an ear to listen, brainstorm new ideas. I will tell you, Colleen, came into my life at the right time. I needed that person to help me pivot into the educator I really wanted to be. And so I'm so glad that she's here and we can celebrate her and we can celebrate all of our administrators in our district. We feel strongly. So this is a celebration of everyone that has a partnership with us in the district. And when we first started talking about this topic, we were really reflecting on, 20 plus years ago, getting into education and thinking, oh my gosh, the relationship between administrators and teachers is so much different than it was then. Back then, it was very much, the boss and employee working relationship. And there wasn't, and it wasn't bad, but there just wasn't a ton of collaboration. And so today, it really is this level playing field where we're all collaborating with one another. And it just makes me smile as we brought these pictures in of administrators working with kids and getting in the classroom and the office not being viewed as this bad place that you don't want to go like it was when we grew up. And just knowing that it is a team effort and I can invite an administrator in at any point to say, hey, I'm doing this, come check it out or play this game with the kids. And I love that. So I
just want to know, how do you as administrators try to encourage that collaboration? Because it is so much a part of our day-to-day life as an educator? How do you do it to where you can bring everyone, all the different kinds of people in your building together to collaborate?
Well, it's funny that you guys were talking about how it's changed the relationship between administrators and teachers. I might disagree with my experience. So I've been in education. Elaine was nice enough not to say 22 years, but for 22 years. And when I started out as a young teacher in Wayne Township, I had amazing administrators that I worked for. Dr. Janet Boyle, Miss Sandy Pliley, and those two were, I was a brand new young baby-faced teacher, and I was in their office all the time asking questions and thinking and talking. And in a school that large, to think that they had time for me, which thinking back was probably silly that I was bothering them, but I wasn't. And they really listened to me and helped me understand kind of my role. And I think, Dana, that really has helped me understand and kind of drive the kind of administrator I wanted to be. I came back to Plainfield as a teacher. I got to work with great people and learn from good administrators and learn how to build those relationships. It's zero different than being a classroom teacher and have to build relationships with your students. It's just you're building relationships with peers and adults, and kind of being there to help them. And when they need something, you're there for them, and you drop whatever you're doing and roll up your sleeves and help. And I think that's the kind of relationship I always want to have with our teachers, is just, I'm here for you, and I want to see you succeed. And because when teachers succeed in the classroom, we all succeed in the building. And I think that's really important.
I would agree with Brent. And actually, we have a very similar background. So I was also from Wayne Township. And again, I think when you go into administration, you really have to think back, who were your mentors? And mine were Sherry O'Day, Nicole Law, and I wasn't just a teacher and they were, my principal or my assistant principal. They were the people that kind of tapped us on the shoulder and said, I kind of see something. And I think I've learned that, honestly, the best administrators that I've worked for, they're people. They enjoy being around people. They enjoy helping people. And so they were able to ask different questions like, hey, would you mind Colleen helping out with this? Would you go to this grade level or that grade level? So I did also get to see them very involved with the staff. And they never made you feel like you had to be a different person. Chris and I talked all the time about, what brings me happiness in my life is that I can be the same person as an administrator as I am with my family and as I am in the community. I don't have to separate that. I just get to be me. And so I think bringing that, Dana, your question, bringing it as an administrator is, how do I then get teachers to know that as well, right? You just get to be you, and we're all different. We all have strengths. But to me, my teachers are my classroom, and I'm always a teacher, and I can't do anything in my classroom unless I have relationships and help them build relationships. So same thing, I think I look to the people that hired me, and then coming out to Plainfield and being an administrator here, my mentor was Marisa Donovan, who unfortunately is sick. And I was super excited just to be on here with her because it was the same thing. Just her love for children, but also her love for just her teachers. So that was just huge for me.
Yeah, and it seems like, through my career, having gone through, 3 different schools and quite a few administrators, those administrators that are visible, that are poking into rooms, that are stopping to see you and say hi, or just skirting down the hallway and saying hi, you're right, that they're the ones that are building the best positive energy, I think, in the building. And I know that not all schools are like our district, but I know this at my building, my administrators do what's best for kids. They love our kids. They know their names. And there's like a lot of kids in our building. They know them by name. They know their interests. And, one of them, the picture I put on here on the M is Tori Rodkey's our athletic director. And Tori's an interesting guy. He puts in countless hours, and then he cleans cafeteria tables on the side. But this last week, I'm going to just kind of brag on him. Our girls basketball team's been very successful. And Tori decided his priority was making sure we have kids at the basketball games to support our girls basketball. And so message goes out last week, hey, if you come to the game and you're an athlete, you're in. I'm going to take care of it. And I just think that tells what we think is most important in our building and with our kids. Dana, what do you think on this one?
All right. Well, this is the one that I just love the most, is because I feel like in our buildings, that is the direction that each administrator goes, especially with what you guys were just saying and speaking on, is that positive feedback that you give, the positive interaction you have with our students. You know their names, you know things about them. If they come up in a data meeting, you know where they're coming from and how far they have come and how successful they are now becoming. Or, hey, you know what, I remember that name and I know that they were struggling with this last year, and you know what, let's get them this kind of help. And you're trying to meet the needs of those students. But not only are you trying to meet the needs of the students, you are a positive energy in supporting those behaviors within our building. And I was just curious, one of the things that we do, and I think you guys do it at Guilford too, is the swag tag type thing where you get rewarded different swag tags. But I was just interested in other ways that you think that other principals and administrators could successfully promote positively within their building, maybe with some kind of incentive, or what is it that you think that is the best way to promote positive energy within your buildings?
I think there's lots of ways that we promote that positivity. I think one of the things, when I think about interactions between teachers and administrators, one of the things that can be the scariest one is the observation, right? And how intimidating that can be. I can think very distinctly of Mr. Rick Adcock sitting in the back of my room as a first teacher at Ben Davis High School. And I know Mr. Adcock, I still see him because his grandkids go to our school. I was scared of him being in my classroom. Afterwards, he said, I don't know a whole lot of math. You're fine. But, as I think about that and I think about how intimidated I was, one of the things we focus on as we do observations here at the high school, and I think as a district, is an observation is an opportunity to kind of celebrate positives, to really look for ways to, you're not trying to catch somebody doing it wrong. I think if you go into an observation and you're in a teacher's classroom, they're very vulnerable and they're very intimidated. And if you're in there to try to catch them screwing up and get them, that's that's the worst thing to do. But to really celebrate those positives and to see some really good things and to really be excited about those things. I think, a lot of the things that when I look in classrooms, and I was in one today, we were talking, teacher and I were having a conversation about AI, and just everyone's really apprehensive about it and just not sure. And we equate it to Google. And, when Google first came out, kids are going to Google everything. Yeah, everybody's going to Google everything, right? That's how we live now. But AI is not this big, scary thing. It's just something we don't understand all the way yet of how it's going to make us better. And teacher, she said, hey, come down to my classroom today. We had just had this conversation like 2 days ago. And the kids in Mrs. Tabasca's English honors class are reading Things Fall Apart. And they've got this big character analysis that they're going to do. And they probably always have done this assignment where they talk about the character and are they static? Are they dynamic? Talk about them. But this time they used an AI image generator.
It's so cool.
Kids thought of descriptions of what that character would look like based on what they know about the character and their attitudes and their feelings and age and all these things. And these images that they were able to put up in front of the students, Colleen, your motion sensitive lights went
off. We do believe in saving energy.
Yes, the images were amazing, and the kids were able to talk about them. But that's the kind of thing that gets me really excited. And I wasn't even doing an observation, but just to see that kind of that, and to celebrate that and to talk about that with her and now with other people is that's really powerful. And I think those are the kind of interactions, that positivity that just, I'm sure she went, when that lesson was over, she felt really good because of how great it went. So,
but I
Yeah,
think that's
and-
amazing. She wanted you to see it. Like, she felt
Yeah.
so confident that she called you and said, come down here and see what these kids are putting together, and wanted you to share in that joy as well. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and with our motto being the joy in learning, Colleen, how do you as an administrator take something like that? How do you measure it? What do you look for when you walk in a room and say, "Yep, we've hit our mark today"?
Well, I mean, I was really honored to kind of open a new school where we really did embrace that bringing joy to learning, that mission statement. I mean, it does change everything for you. It gives you a real focus. It's the first one I can remember. It's the first one the teachers can remember for sure. But we were able to kind of create our own mission. And honestly, I love this slide, but it's the value in keeping positive. Like, education is too difficult to have negativity around you, to be honest. I mean, it's already really hard, and we're trying to keep educators in it. If we're not laughing every day, if we're not having joy every day in the classroom, if we don't love who we work with. And so honestly, one of the biggest things that I loved is really looking at it as grade levels, right? Like, I'm not putting something in the news, oh, this teacher did this or this teacher did this, right? Like, I want you to tell me as a grade level, like, what are you doing? What challenges are you doing with your kids? What are kids excited about? And really pushing it, because we're responsible for making sure all kids are having joy every single day. And so it's no longer this isolated classroom where you have to come up with all the ideas on your own. And so we've been really able just to push that collaboration and say, if we're really bringing joy to learning, then I want to hear about it. But I don't want to hear from one teacher. I want to hear from 3 on your grade team.
That's cool.
And that has been huge. The teachers love sharing all the fun things that they're doing. I have a grade level doing Fancy Nancy tonight. Parents are coming in, they're dressed up, their kids are coming in, but we're not doing one classroom. It's every single classroom that do that. So I think just promoting and just getting excited with teachers.
I have to brag on you for just a second before we move on. When I was in the classroom at Guilford, and, it really did become the relationship that Brent's talking about, where every time we were doing something that the kids and I were so excited about, I would say, you have to come and see this. I would send her times, and sometimes it would work, but probably 90% of the time she made it to everything I asked her to come to. But there would be times when we're doing things and the kids are like, have you even invited Mrs. Perry yet? I mean, then it becomes the culture of, I want my principal to be in here and see what we're learning. I want her to be a part of this. And really, what a great way to keep her and all the other administrators connected with kids, because that has to be one of the hardest things about leaving the classroom, is that you don't have your core group of kids anymore. You don't have those kids that just love you and can't wait to be at school with you. But when they are immersed in everything that's happening in the classrooms, they are a part of the community just like everyone else is. And so that was always really fun for the kids to say, can I email her really quickly and invite her? Can I go down to her office and see if she's there? I mean, that you've reached like the total pinnacle when things like that are happening.
Yeah, when they are in love with their administrator as well. Yeah, so just say yes. I've said before, for me as an educator, having 20 years, to have administrators that say yes. I have been known to have a few harebrained ideas. I've had big ideas that I've said, I want to do this. What do you think? And at Plainfield High School, through Mel Seifert, through Pat Cooney, who's in this middle picture, and our assistant principals, I get yes. I mean, I really do. From building out our HOSA community service program, yes, the kids can leave school a little bit early to be involved, to, hey, how about we do a district-wide STEM night? Yes. How about I take 100 kids to HOSA State? Yes. And I tell you, knowing that within reason, I'm sure one day they'll say no to me, but knowing that if I have a good idea that is good for kids and for the betterment and moving forward of our school, I get yes, and I think that builds that positivity as well. So what I really like, Brent, is I'd like if you would share in a time that you said yes to a teacher or staff member, kind of thinking this may not work out, but unexpected joy was born from it.
I think part of that, I think, is just helping teachers problem solve and make their plans work and help to kind of think of logistics. Because a lot of times, when somebody has great ideas, some of the logistics don't work out, and you're always looking to constantly improve those plans. And I don't know if I have a yes so much as I have a challenge to teachers to try things new, to not like don't do it the same way we've always done it just because we've always done it that way. An example I can think of off the top of my head is we started a geometry honors class a couple of years ago, and how are we going to make geometry honors different than regular geometry? And one of the things was we wanted to apply it. And so I kind of challenged the teacher, Mr. Matt Stewart. I said, hey, come up with something different to do, some kind of project. Let's do something hands-on. And next thing you know, we're having our homecoming carnival, which we've done for years, and had little games with different groups there. And our engineering class would come up with some games to practice some engineering stuff. Well, Mr. Stewart's class were making putt-putt holes and using what they had learned about geometry already to create holes, and getting to share that with the community, with all the little kids there. And it's amazing to see all that STEM on display every fall. And our 5-year-old Thomas is excited about when he's going to do it next and what's it going to look like next year, and is excited. But like, those are the things where you just, you can't always say yes, but you can always find ways to make things work, and you can challenge people to try new things, and to know that sometimes when you try new things, it's not going to work, or you got to tweak it, or where do we store all these, or what do we do with this? And you just kind of problem solve and help them work through those things, I think, is most important.
I think by you saying yes, or administrator saying yes, it's allowing that teacher and telling to try something new, but also showing the other teachers, hey, you know what? I can try something new.
Mm-hmm.
I can adjust what I'm doing to meet the needs of these students, or find a way that is going to bring joy to my students. Colleen, has there been anything that was surprise to you that turned out better than you thought?
Well, I think Brent kind of hit it on the head, right? I think teachers have learned, like, when they have big ideas, I will tell you now, they come with a full plan, right? They try to think of everything. And I think our job is just making sure that logistically, like Brent said, this is going to work. But honestly, a lot of the big ideas have come from teachers even after school. And a lot of it's in fundraisers, right? They want to do big things. They want to get kids involved and parents involved. And I literally had a staff member ask for 3 years to do a dodgeball game, to raise money, to give back to those in need. And for 3 years, I kept saying, I would think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. And this year I finally, she had worked everything. Had everything in a document. And it was one of the coolest things. For our kids to come and see their teachers be kids, the kids got to interact and do some minute to win it games. We raised so much money to give back to that Gift Kindness, who actually helps, feed a lot of our families over the weekends when they don't have a lot of food. And, but in my head is how, it's dodgeball, first of all. But it was after school, it was adults, and we had rules. And so sometimes, like, you just say yes, and then you realize how much it brought the community together. So we've been slimed. Carissa had, we had a full petting zoo here.
That was mine. I'm like, I know she wanted to say no to that.
I didn't. I just needed to hear through it. We had it, animals were adopted that day. And, but we had many conversations, and it was one of the coolest things ever. So sometimes it's just sitting back and saying, I can trust these people. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, and it was weather dependent, right? We were like, the weather's going to be fine. All these animals are going to be outside. Yep. And long story short, it was snowing like crazy, and all the ducks and the goats, and everybody had to come everywhere. In. Everybody had to come into the gym, and I'm like, I don't even know. She's like, it will be fine. It will be fine. But I think of that every time I think of oh my gosh, it brought everyone so much joy, but it
Yeah.
all was because someone was willing to take a chance and a risk
Yes.
of something possibly going completely wrong. But it was amazing. I still hear kids talk about that. My own son still says, "Why do you think the peacock couldn't make it to that event?" Because I sadly had read that there would be a peacock. So he is still fixated that there was no peacock at that event. Anyway, moving on. This is such a fun conversation because this is what it's all about, right? Building relationships. And so as we're thinking about supporting new teachers and students and new students, like we know right now, this ever-changing population of teachers and students, like, I'll throw it back to Colleen. I mean, what is the best strategy for, you're supporting one of our new students in the picture on the left, like what is the best strategy for supporting new students and then supporting new teachers?
Well, I mean, I will tell you, we hire fantastic teachers in Plainfield. They are amazing. And, when you get into it, you think I'm going to need to give a lot of support with curriculum and instruction. I really don't. They are coming in strong. Like they understand, they understand technology. A lot of times it is just working with students who have a lot of trauma in their life and who are struggling and they're coming to a new school, and your role shifts as an administrator to just supporting them and not having all the answers. Administrators, we don't have, it's not like we go through special training and we have all the magic wands. We're just there to support you. You need support. But what I've learned, and Brent probably would agree, is I can't help them if I don't know the students either. And so I have to take the time to get to know the students that maybe they don't think are making a lot of progress or who are really struggling. And so I have to spend time just getting to know them. What do you like? What do you don't like? And then we get together as a team and we all know these kids. And so for me, it's not just supporting, but it's being in the classroom. It's getting to know the kids so that they feel like where they're coming from. It's not coming from this isolated, I'm going to tell you what's happening in my classroom. Can you help me? I'm actually in there. I can see, and then I have better ideas and we can get a full team together, because a lot of times I don't know either. And so that helps teachers to know we don't have all the answers, but I bet we can come up with a good plan that we can try.
Well, I think the only thing I would add is just, you meet new teachers and new students where they are. You kind of find out where they are. And I think that's what Colleen is alluding to, is just, figure out where they are and what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what makes them, what gives them joy. I can think of a young man in our building who, when he's having a rough day, if he comes and gets a Hershey Kiss off my desk, it makes everything a little bit better. And so I make sure I always have Hershey Kisses on my desk, because that's the little thing that gets us through. But I think those are the kinds of things, and that's a silly example, but just meeting kids where they are, helping them know that they're supported. I think the same thing is true for teachers, and letting them know that when they're trying something, when they're new and they don't know where to turn to, they can turn to their colleagues, but they can also turn to us, and we're going to help them problem solve. I think, I always remembering that, it's not, I think somebody said it feels like you get in trouble when you get called to the office, but sometimes going to the office on your own and coming in after school and sitting down and go, I need help with this kid. I don't know what to do, or this just happened. And sometimes those conversations are some of the best ones I enjoy the most, because they just help me to, help a teacher and help them. They just need someone to talk through the problem they're going through that's going to listen and may have answers, or at least have ideas, or, hey, have you talked to this person? Have you brought have you looped in this guidance counselor, this teacher of record, or whatever. And I think sometimes this, when you can step back from the problem or step back from the situation and you're not living it every day, you can help them have some perspective. And I think, that's the thing. We've got a great job. We teach the best kids in the world here in Plainfield, and we have the best teachers. So it is, sometimes it feels unfair that it's so easy to have so many great people to work with and get great kids to work with. And I think that's kind of the secret sauce here in Plainfield, is that we get to work with great people, and like the people on this call. And I think but when we bring in new folks, it's finding out where they are and helping them kind of come alongside the rest of us and enjoy the ride here.
Yeah. And I think especially supporting new young teachers. We've been doing it so long. We understand what the 180 days take. And so, we worry, the three of us worry constantly about this next generation of teachers and developing them and helping them find that place and know they're supported. And I know that having a good admin that says yes and keeps it very positive, and like Brent said, where you don't feel terrified when they come in your room, yet you're welcoming them in your room. I just think it makes a big difference to help them kind of get over that 3 to 5 year hump where, you know, we lose a lot of young teachers. And so I think that's something Plainfield works really hard at, is to mentor the young ones, so that we have lasting in our buildings. And I think that's why year over year we retain such quality.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is just that positivity again, is that welcoming positivity. And as teachers and as educators, if we come across as we hate our job with negative comments on a regular basis, instead of finding the joy ourselves and projecting that onto a new teacher or a new friend that's walking into our building, then we are doing the wrong thing. Because why would they want to be here every day and work hard if they are not finding the joy and we are not sharing that joy with them? So just being that open door for everyone to come in and be able to have a conversation with.
Totally agree. I read something recently that said something like, if you're only surrounded by negative, you'll never find the positive. So it speaks to the people we associate with, and really trying to be that person that's helping others see the positive. So thank you guys so much for being here. This has been amazing. You know, celebrating this relationship and the work that you guys do is so important. So thank you for being here. Next month, we will be with Joe and Kristen Merrill. You may know them from the interactive class. Great couple that lives in the trenches with us every day. They're going to talk Yay for Tech to Try. So check that out next month for sure. As always, we would love to connect with you, and we would love to have your feedback. We have a link to our playlist so that you can view all of our previous episodes. We would love to collaborate, right? We always, you know, we need to find the experts so that we can learn more and grow as professionals. And I think that that's definitely our whole goal with YaySTEM. So if you want to fill out the Google form to give us feedback from today, that would be great. And then as usual, we leave our contact information so that you can reach out if you want to share a story yourself or collaborate on a project together. So thank you guys so much for being here with us. And as we always say,
YaySTEM!
YaySTEM!